from Down Under.
Do or do not. There is no try.
G'day, mate. How you going? All right, folks. Welcome to the one, the only Fantha from Down Under on, of course, the one, the only Fantha Tracks Radio. I'm your host, Adam O'Brien, and joining me all the way from Arizona in the United States is the host of many shows on the Fanitarium, formerly of Bombad Radio. You know him better as Jeremiah. Mate, how are you?
I am fantastic. School ends in 3 weeks, and I work in schools, and I'm ready for it to be done.
Nice. Well, mate, been a while since we chatted. Lots have been happening in fandom, and obviously we've all been very busy with all different sorts of stuff. So, first off, mate, what do you think of the state of Star Wars? We've got an Episode 9 trailer out there now. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, state of Star Wars, as far as the movie goes, I like the trailer. I think it looks good. I think it's a J.J. Abrams trailer where it shows you lots of nothing at all.
Yeah.
And they're already pulling some sneaky John Harrison-esque stuff on this movie.
Yeah.
And we have to see lots of other good Star Wars stuff, too. You know, I didn't see the clip reel for Mandalorian because I didn't want to see the stupid handheld, terrible version. I like to see it look good.
Mm-hmm.
So I can actually, see the details. That's what I like about Star Wars, the detail work. But, content-wise, Star Wars looks pretty good coming out. Fandom-wise, I'd mute lots of people now. Lots of people.
It is
on all sides. That's everywhere. Just stop.
It's so
Stop.
extreme. I mean, if we could rewind 10 years ago and, like you look at the sort of stuff we were all into, it was a much more welcoming place. But I hate to say it, toxicity is a word that definitely is the flavour for some of those fans out there, unfortunately.
And even if it's not toxic, I remember, so this trailer came out, and this is the first time since Disney took over that a trailer has come out, and I'm instantly in speculation mode going, what about this, what about this, what about this? I haven't had that for Force Awakens, I didn't have it for Last Jedi, I didn't have it for Rogue One, I didn't have it for Solo, and I didn't have it for Rebels or any of the shows. This one, I went full speculation mode, and I was caught off guard because I was instantly shut down by almost every single person I was trying to talk to. They said, zero speculation allowed on my website, zero speculation allowed on my wall, no speculation here, all that's going to do is lead to heartbreak. When I remember, I grew up, in the prequel era, we speculated all the time. Heck, when special editions are coming out, you saw the trailer where you saw Jabba the Hutt, Jabba's going to lead an army on the dust and do all this stuff in Tatooine. And we speculated all the time. Like, heck, do you remember Super Shadow with the prequels?
Mm-hmm.
The guy who released all those quote-unquote spoilers that 95% of them were wrong, but they were sure fun to talk about them and to speculate. That was the fun of the prequel era, and we were wrong most of the time. And, I don't know, that's the fun of fandom, speculation, and to see where you get right, what you get wrong. And with Star Wars nowadays, it's cut off. None. We don't allow that, which is sad, because that's fun. That's the fun of fandom. Why wait till it's concrete, because then that's boring. That's the fact, versus, what if it's this? What if it's that? What if that laugh is actually Snoke? It's not. But, what if it was?
Well, you're right. And the thing is, that's what we enjoyed about is the creativity in our own minds of where things were going to go. And, back when George was running things, that was something that was never met. Our expectations or our imagination was our own. We always got something different, as interesting or as whatever it is, I think that was half of what fandom was the communication and the coming together of fans to come up with their own interpretation.
Yeah, and J.J. Abrams, love him or hate him, he always gives you something that's up to interpretation because he doesn't like to... He's not obvious about anything, but at the same time, he's obvious about everything. So it's like, you know what to expect, and JJ does it, but at the same time, you have no idea what you're going to see. And for this trailer, he showed us what we needed to see. We have no idea really what it's about beyond, you see it, the Death Star. I'm assuming it crashed on Endor. I'm assuming that we see the Force moon of Endor right there kind of devastated. We're not sure. But I just thinking about, the Death Star exploded, so I'm assuming the first thing it would hit is one of the Force moons of Endor. So it could be another moon of Endor. Mm-hmm. We don't know how many moons Endor has. We hear the Emperor's laugh, which anyone who thinks it's not Palpatine, Ian McDiarmid came out on stage and then did it again. Pretty clearly it's him. Plus, when I show my wife the trailer, she's like, why is that confusing anyone? That's the most obvious laugh in all of Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
So, she didn't even have to, know he came out on stage. It was clear. But you got to see awesome little sights. Lando kind of back where he belongs. But after Solo, I'm just wondering what his conversation with the ship's computer is going to be like, because it could be really dirty. Knowing what he's did with that droid.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
How
you doing, you old droid?
Ready to go where we left off? Oh, no. My wife is actually joking. He's going to, open up a secret compartment in the ship that Han never found, and his, secret stash of extra capes are in there. And he's like, I missed you all. Hey, what have we here?
Well, he certainly didn't give it a facelift after he handed it back to Lando, that's for sure.
Yeah. And then, you got the ship that left Rey. You get to see the same type of ship, whether or not it means it's her parents or anything like that. I'd like the speculation that it could be her parents. We get to find out what the relation is. I don't think it's retconning The Last Jedi, because Last Jedi, it was an unreliable narrator, to say the least, because Kylo Ren had, 2 days? Or a few days to find an answer? We don't know if he even did. He could have just said whatever. It's kind of like the whole of Iron Man 3 in Marvel, which is told from Tony Stark's point of view. It could be all fake. You have no idea. Because he was telling it. So we're going to find out her parents. I don't think she's a Skywalker. I actually think she has a connection to Palpatine in some way, which would make sense to me. And you get to see, that the only thing I think was kind of weird, but it's a great Star Wars shot, was the weird flip over the TIE Interceptor at the beginning, which could be a dream as far as I know.
Could be. I mean, otherwise,
I don't see the logic of that shot. Is this the thing? It's like,
no, I don't either. I think it's just a cool shot. I mean, that's what they're trying to do. There is that they need to now show her advancement, and a quick way to show an advancement in power and control of the Force is to do wacky, cool stuff.
Yeah, and there was a couple of comments which I saw which were quite funny. So oh look, she finally cleaned her outfit from Jakku, because it's almost the same, but now it's clean. And the other one, it reminded me of, did you ever see the Final Fantasy animated movie, not Spirits Within, but Advent Children, the one about 7, by chance?
Yeah.
So, in the director's commentary of that one, there's a battle in that one where you see Sephiroth and others, literally flying to the air and, going around buildings while they're jumping. It makes no sense why they're curving in the air like that, in midair. But the director said, does it make sense? No. Does it look cool? Yes, that's why I did it. That shot over the ship. Does it look cool? Yep, do it. I think that's
how many times has that been done too? Or they reverse a shot and people call them out on it straight away, especially fans. Hellboy, the original Hellboy, there's a couple of shots where they reversed it because it looked better in continuity, that Ron Perlman's character, Hellboy, was walking a certain way into the building or whatever it was, and they go, hang on, the stone hand's on the wrong hand. Things like that. I mean, it's just part and parcel. I think you've nailed it. There's a lot of John Harrison going on there. A lot of
the John Harrison
misdirect.
moment that I'm thinking of is not in the trailer. It involves Matt Smith. Matt Smith,
Oh,
who the Hollywood
yes.
Reporter said was
Hang on.
in Star Wars.
I gotta say it. Who?
Doctor Who? I actually met the guy, the blue guy who says that line, at the end of that season where he's like Doctor Who the whole time. I actually met him. He's a really nice guy.
Nice. Nice.
But I actually met him the same time I met Peter Mayhew. Rest in peace. The same I interviewed them both right next to each other. They're really fun. But Matt Smith, because the Hollywood Reporter, I believe, is the first one that broke the news that he was going to be in Star Wars. And then a couple months ago, or last month, he had that interview with LA Times where he says he's not in Star Wars. And then the recent Disney website says he is in Star Wars.
Yes.
I think he's the John Harrison of the movie. And playing young Palpatine was the rumor, which honestly would make perfect sense. Matt Smith is already, unless he's Skynet in it, crossover. I wouldn't mind him crossing over as Skynet. That'd be kind of cool. But I think he could do it, and he's a really good actor. Regardless of the person who tried to tell me he's too niche to be in Star Wars because no one knows who he is. I'm sorry. He's been in Doctor Who. He's been in Terminator. And he's in The Crown, which is a massive show that you probably don't watch on Netflix. But it is one of the most watched shows on Netflix, people. He's not a niche, tiny actor. John Barrowman's much smaller than him, and John Barrowman's been in a lot of big shows.
He has.
Matt Smith is not small anymore.
Same universe, though,
King
folks.
Philip?
Torchwood and Doctor Who, same universe for those that are the Doctor Who uninitiated. It's all part of the same Time Lord era. And we've already had some in Star Wars with, of course, David Tennant.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And honestly, Torchwood's probably one of my top 5 favorite shows of all time.
Great show. Absolutely brilliant show.
I love it. Children of Earth. One of the greatest seasons ever made of any show. But that's just diverting. But yeah, Matt Smith, I'm curious what they're going to do with that one. But as far as this trailer goes, I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Poe Dameron, is he more Nathan Drake or is he more Brendan Fraser from The Mummy?
Oh, Brendan Fraser, for sure. But I'm going to say something different. I'm going to say this. He's more Leto.
Oh, that seems a very you thing to say.
Yeah, but I will say this. Did he just decide to take a flight away and then come back? Because he's literally been, I think, a week between filming on the last couple of shots of The Rise of Skywalker. And then he's back there again now with Denis Villeneuve, with Jason Momoa, and obviously the entire Dune cast doing some of those scenes for Dune. They're shot in the same region of Jordan.
Well, you can tell where my brain is because when you say Leto, I'm like, oh, look, it's James McAvoy's character. He's going to be singing with worms and becoming a worm person. Nope, different Leto. If you don't know what I'm talking about, if it eventually comes, you will never forget it. Ever.
Yeah, that's true, isn't it? I mean, look, wouldn't it be interesting is he played it, obviously, Children of Dune, he plays Leto the second. But what if he gets to play the same role or another similar role in Dune in years to come?
That would be kind of cool. Like if they do the Houseboats or something like that. That could be quite good.
Well,
but they have to get... Dune has to work first. It has to be successful. It can't be Blade Runner 2049, which critics liked and diehards liked, but it didn't make enough money. It has to be successful. So
it's
we'll see.
Such a huge prospect just to, first of all, get that translation of the book across, and in such a way that they're going to have to cut so much from it just to get it to work into 2 movies.
Yeah, they can't do what they did with like Cloud Atlas and have a 4-hour movie.
No, that's right.
Cloud Atlas, they tried really hard to make that work, but that's a hard book to sell.
Yeah.
Going on with this trailer though, I know Carrie Fisher's gone, but I like how they clearly had enough shots to try to get her in this movie. Mm-hmm. I'm really curious what Mark Hamill's role in it's going to be, especially since he loves trolling fans all the time. He admits this on like Kimmel, and I think it's Kimmel, but he admits that he loves trolling fans. He just say things and watch the reactions, and he's great on Nightfall right now. If you haven't watched that show, he's an awesome Templar. But I'm curious what his role is going to be because he's clearly going to be in it. And, of course, we know R2-D2 and C-3PO are going to be in it. But I'm also curious how, just having seen Endgame, how final is this movie going to be? Like, how it's going to feel?
Oh, I think they're pretty clear that this is the final of those Skywalkers. I mean, it'll be the end.
But how much will it feel, though? Because, I remember Revenge of the Sith felt like the end. Return of the Jedi felt like the end. True,
yeah, the overall feeling.
He likes to leave hooks in there in case they want to go later.
Mm-hmm.
How final is this going to be? Because Endgame is kind of a perfect final story arc for that thing. How final are they willing to go? And I'm just curious. But of course we don't even know what this story is.
Well, we don't. All we do know is that John Boyega has come out and said that this is the last time he'll ever play Finn. So he's very, very clear about that.
And we know there's a time jump.
Mm-hmm.
And so we know they're a bit older. We don't know if Broom Boy is going to be in it, or if Gareth Edwards is going to reprise his role as Rebel Trooper or Resistance Fighter. Sorry.
Yeah, here's a man. Here's a man who needs to get the director's boots back on and get out there as Gareth Edwards. I mean, regardless of how much they replaced him with, another director or whatever it was to round up the film. Tony Gilroy. Look, I honestly think there's a lot more, especially with Fantha having chatted directly to Gareth. It seems pretty evident that they had a pretty solid film to begin with, and that he is the man behind that film. Yeah,
and fixing up the end of a movie, it could have just been a schedule thing. It could have just been, I need another set of eyes on this. Because, do you remember, not that this movie was great, but, with Marvel, Phase 1 had some issues with directors. And then Phase 2, Thor the Dark World, they brought in the director who eventually made Wonder Woman. They fired her. Then they brought in Alan Taylor from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that's right.
They brought in Alan Taylor, and Alan Taylor said, Joss Whedon, I need help with the end. And Joss Whedon came, rewrote it, and directed a bunch of stuff at the end to help make it work. As far as we know, he could have just needed help with the end because something wasn't clicking. And Tony Gilroy, who's someone completely fresh set of eyes, was one to do it.
Yeah.
The movie worked. It's my favorite of the Disney era Star Wars. It worked
is
really
the
well.
best. It is the best of those films. I hate to say it, but they have absolutely nailed a story which had a lot of obviously sacrifice in the film itself, and I think people just weren't ready for such a direct story. Can we say? I think it's brilliant.
And it might not be the prettiest of them. I think, as far as pretty goes, Last Jedi is kind of just like heads and shoulders above a lot of movies.
Oh, yeah.
And Solo used colored blacks really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
But it is definitely, it resonates really well, especially among both generations of fans. So I like that. I appreciate that a lot.
Without a doubt. Look, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be fantastic. Now, we have to move on to a little bit of news that dropped this week, which is, of course, within the Lucasfilm paradigm also is Warwick Davis coming back to play Willow in a prospective series with being shepherded by Ron Howard. And no, it's okay, Jeremiah, we won't talk about the books.
This is a series I don't know how it's going to work.
Yeah.
I love Willow. I have the board game for Willow and I play it. I actually went out and bought the books. I love Willow. I just don't know how this show will work because Warwick Davis can still do it, but Val Kilmer, he can't be Mad-Mardigan.
No, that's right.
I forgot Joanne Wally.
Wally, yeah.
Saoirse. She can't do Saoirse anymore, and being how they're now exes, that might not work. I'm not sure about the Brownies for Gina Rule. I don't know how those actors are right now. They might be able to, but a lot of these actors.
Pollack, yeah, he'll be right.
They're just kind of they can't really play that role anymore.
Mm.
So I'm just curious how they're going to do it. Are they going to recast? Is it going to be really far in the future with Willow being like the wizard role for his village? Go the direction the bird flies. Ignore the bird. Follow, that sort of stuff. Is it going to be that role? Like, how is this going to work? Now, it could be like Young Indy or something where he's telling a story, like how Harrison Ford came in for one of those episodes and, just played the saxophone and told a story about 1920 Chicago.
Yep, Mystery of the Blues.
Series? Good series. Yep. Al Capone one. But I don't know how it's going to work. That's what I'm really curious because, like, if it doesn't feel right, it's not going to make Willow fans happy. But at the same time, if it feels just like Willow was in the 80s, it's not going to make new fans happy because Willow is kind of like a cult classic.
Yep.
It's not that big of a movie. People who love it, and everyone else is just like, those effects were not ready for that movie.
It really is, isn't it?
I love it, but I'm just really curious how they're going to make it work, what they're going to do. Show me something.
Yeah, we need
Show me Indy 5 stuff too. Right?
We need to see where that would go, because I think at the end of the day, Warwick would definitely be the star of the thing. I mean, it'd be a younger generation working with him. I think that's the key, and prospectively, it's also with the sequel books where they may have fallen apart. The story should be about Elora Danan, and it should be about his mentorship of her, but also, a new generation and obviously a bigger world view of Nockmaar.
Yeah, and the movie did cut a lot of backstory out. Like, for example, the backstory of that one, which I even knew from like the coloring books of Willow, was Tyr's Lean was Saoirse's dad. Well, that was his kingdom, and Mommy decided to get mad at him and turn him all into crystal. That was Saoirse's dad. That's where she's from.
Mm-hmm.
That was important. But they cut up in the movie because I don't know, maybe didn't film well. But, there's a lot of stuff they can do to the world. And if you want any reason not to read the books, here's a good one. Elora Danan's a jerk the entire time. And they kill Mad-Mardigan and Saoirse in the first 5 pages. There. Saved you 3 books. Don't read them.
Still do not understand apparently it was I remember reading an interview or listening to one a while back where, they talked about it, and Claremont even said, it was a business decision not to have those characters in there, whether it was for copyright or vice versa. But I mean, Lucas was the one governing these books. So
his name's on it as an author.
Yeah, I don't know if I've read that wrong or what, but that's
it's kind of like the Brian, because it seemed almost in that interview that you're talking about, almost like the Brian Daly Han Solo books where they can make Star Wars, but they couldn't use a lot of Star Wars imagery. But I don't see any reason why they couldn't use it when George Lucas is the co-author of the books with Chris Claremont. I don't get it. I don't get some of the decisions. The books aren't terribly written. They just don't feel right if you're a fan of Willow.
No, that's right. That's right. Yeah, it is a different feel. It's not the same. And plus, he's called in the first book Thorn Drumheller.
Yeah, they don't even call him by his right name.
Yeah, it's really bizarre. It sounds like some Chuck Norris fantasy film, you know. Thorn Drumheller is back. This time he's taking out all the trash. You know, it's one of those really B-grade fantasy feels. That's what it feels like, you know.
He does splits from two wagons.
Yeah. But, I mean, I do always remember, you know, the first and probably part of the second book still carry with me some of those 90s fantasy, you know, ideals. But at the end of the day, it's not Willow.
It just feels right. The fact they don't even use his name is just weird. So this series has a lot to live up to. And I do hope, though, because if you look at the Disney Plus series, you know, you talk about all these Marvel ones and so on. These are not series that are like 10-season series.
No.
These are all mini-series. Like the one that they said like Falcon and Bucky, Winter Soldier. They said it's an 8-episode series. We don't know how long The Mandalorian's going to be. It could be a single season.
Could be
we don't
season.
know. But most of these ones they're announcing are mini-series, so this could be a mini-series sequel to Willow.
That's right. I mean, the next one, they're going to go back to the Clone Wars, and we're going to see that series, that prospective series, finally, of Quinlan Voss. I mean, it's going to happen.
I am really curious about the Clone Wars final season. I think they said it was a final season, right, is what they're doing?
Yeah.
Because we know they had written, you know, I've done interviews with lots of these people as well. We know they had written or planned out 3 seasons after they ended.
Yeah.
We got 13, and each season was like 22 episodes-ish or something like that. We know we got 13 episodes with the Lost missions. We know that Dark Disciple book was 8 episodes worth, I believe Katie Lucas said. 8 episodes worth of stuff. We know they did, 3 arcs via those like animatic storyboard things they put out. So that's 9 episodes or so. We know the Son of Dathomir comic is 2 episodes.
Yeah.
So just right there, that's 19 episodes worth just from the stuff they've already put out. Plus, who knows what they covered in Rebels instead of Clone Wars. And, of course, some in that Ahsoka book. Well, we know the Ahsoka book, from the looks of it, is definitely going to cross over with this last season of Clone Wars because they talk about the Siege of Mandalore and so on. So, like, is this literally all they had left to cover? Because we've already seen in some way or another 19 episodes, almost a full season worth, not including the Netflix stuff. So including that, 32 episodes? So, like, is this all that's left? What they wanted to tell?
This could be it. I mean, this could be all that they had to be told, or at least the best of. You know, I think at the end of the day, they saved this for the right time. They wanted to put this on that streaming platform to launch it, to get it out there, because they realised just how much the Clone Wars meant to people.
And look at what we know we have left. We know we have Siege of Mandalore left because where Anakin sends Ahsoka out to do Mandalore because he has to go rescue Palpatine from Coruscant, starting Revenge of the Sith. But we also know there was a Boba Fett arc that we never got with resolving him and Cad Bane in some way or another.
That's right.
They mentioned this. Who knows? Maybe they're going to have an episode in there where Beckett kills Aurra Singh. It could be there.
That could happen. A crossover of those would be really good because we know that happened obviously due to the film. Oh, it's just so much there that could be wrapped into that sort of timeline. And I think the only thing is we'll never see Star Wars detours.
I hope someday we just get it dumped somewhere.
Yes.
I just hope. Because that just seems... I know it looks stupid for some people, but I like fun. I like Lego Star Wars. I even like the Family Guy ones. You know,
they were fun.
It might be stupid, but it's fun stupid. Yeah. I also would probably see Darth Maul after Siege of Mandalore go create Crimson Dawn.
Yes, yeah, we'll see something like that in that show. I think it's gonna look. There'll be something there, without a doubt. I think it's going to add up to those, and which leads us to obviously another story which has finally been released on both audiobook, and you can also get it now in your bookstores. That is, of course, Claudia Gray's Master and Apprentice. And I have to say, this is one I enjoyed more than probably all of the others. She is almost the new Timothy Zahn.
I have loved her books for the most part. I still say that her very first one, that was released as a young sling adult book, didn't even have the same narrators as all the other ones. It's probably her strongest book because I didn't expect it to be that good.
Yeah.
Like, a YA romance book in Star Wars, it worked so well.
It did.
And her other books, they've Bloodline. I like. The only problem with Bloodline is, like, I just know starting it, like, it just can't end well.
Yeah.
And knowing that it's not going to end well is just like, it hurts. It's knowing that.
Yeah.
Did she write Phasma as well?
Yeah. No, that's Dolores Dawson, I think.
Okay. What was the other one she wrote? Leia. She wrote Leia, right?
That's right. Just before Master and Apprentice, yeah.
I actually have that one on my Kindle. I haven't read it yet because reading books is sometimes hard. I do have Master and Apprentice available on my Kindle right now from audiobook, so I have to get to it. But I do have to finish my newest book of The Expanse first because those are books you can't just, like, stop and then go back to.
No,
I want to finish it.
Those.
Go in order. Yeah.
You do.
But yeah, I'm excited. I have to admit, I don't love all the Star Wars books now, but I didn't love all the Star Wars books before, so it's not any big difference. The other one I have to say is really great is, shockingly, all the Battlefront books are really good, and anytime Alexander Freed writes a book, I put him up with Claudia Gray.
Yeah,
Alexander Freed, he came from Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah.
He came from Star Wars: The Old Republic. He came from writing video games and he did comics, but his books have always been incredibly solid. Like, after reading him in Battlefront Twilight Company, I knew how Vader was going to be in Rogue One, and he was exactly like that, where he shows up, people are just pissing themselves. And that's how he was in Twilight Company. And Alexander Freed is, I put him up there with Claudia Gray. They're very different authors, but he understands Star Wars.
Yeah,
he understands it very well, especially the Ground Eye one. I think he has Alpha Squadron that just came out or is coming out really soon. That's one I definitely have to read because he knows how to write these very well. And in fact, I'd almost say he writes better books right now than Timothy Zahn has his last 3 ones. Not that Zahn has written bad books, but Zahn's best books for me were his duology with the Hand of Thrawn because he could shock us and surprise us. His newer ones, they fit no continuity kind of tightly.
Yeah.
And because of that they're not as free to just do things, which doesn't hurt him really. Tells good stories, but free to tell some point of views of characters that they can do anything with. So let's see what happens.
Oh, 100%, 100%. I think the thing that got me with Master and Apprentice is, again, delving into the relationship and the breakdown between Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan Kenobi. We also get a little bit more background of, and this is the great thing about that story, without giving away the actual story itself. You're going to get a little bit more of his relationship with Dooku, what Dooku was like as a master, and I think it actually delves a lot deeper within one book than I've ever seen when it comes to that. I mean, we've had in the past some of Dooku's background in the expanded universe and just some of the...
Didn't we just get a Dooku book as well?
We did. It's an audio book called Jedi Lost. And
yes, okay.
I haven't started that one yet, but I'm going to get the audio book so I can listen to it on my walks. And especially now that I know there's a little bit more background on himself, Dooku now, and obviously his first apprentice, Rael Averross, which you're going to find out in this book. And Claudia even says that she based the character on the actor Benjamin Bratt.
That makes sense. I have to say, the newer Star Wars books have done a lot better job of covering the prequels than the prequel-era books ever did. A lot of the prequel-era books are like, oh, look, something's building up. Oh, look, there's Trade Disputes Naboo starting. Or, like, Labyrinth of Evil, like, something building up, oh, yeah, they can't actually end this chase for Grievous because he doesn't die until the next movie. Yeah. Or even Shatterpoint. A lot of them are just, like, they're kind of neutered.
Yeah.
And even, I think Matt Stover wrote Revenge of the Sith, right? Matt Stover? And, he wrote it, and, like, the first half of the book is literally, the first 180 pages, like, Dooku dies after 180 pages. first half of the book, and they spend too much time on like lightsaber styles and so on. These new books in the prequel era have done a lot better job of capturing the prequels than the prequel era books did.
Yeah,
that's impressive.
Yeah, I think one stands out for me is Gregor's Rogue Planet. That was one I thoroughly enjoyed, which was...
Especially since that set up a mega series that happened later that's like, oh, that's how that ties in.
Yep, it certainly did. I mean, you wouldn't have the climax of that series without that book. It's just brilliant. I mean, it's just so much...
Kind of like if you read the Lost Tribe of the Sith books, and then you realize, oh, wait, this ties into Fate of the Jedi. Or, and one author I wish they could bring back, because I think he only wrote one Star Wars book so far. It was the original Jedi one, Into the Void, I think it was called.
Oh, okay.
Tim Levin. I wish
Tim
they could
Levin.
Because Tim Levin, he writes excellent books.
Yeah, he does.
His alien books are awesome.
Yes.
Like River of Sorrow and so on. He can write scary stuff better than who's the guy who wrote Death Trooper and Red?
Oh, I can't remember offhand, but yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah,
Schreiber. I think his name was Schreiber.
Joe Schreiber.
That sounds possible. But like he can write horror. There are horrific things that can happen in a Star Wars universe. I think if they ever did a collection of like tales from something, they've done short story collections, but they've been about like random characters on Jakku.
Yeah.
If they could write one, I think Levin could come back and write some fantastic stuff. He knows how to capture horror. Like put him with like Rathtars or something. He could do something awesome.
The Rathtars are back, and this time they're hunting down Darth Maul. It's just something along those lines.
Just his legs. You're just hunting down his legs.
You know what we need?
His torso already escaped.
We need an audio drama directed by yourself with that.
I could.
You could.
I am finishing up the last episode of my current audio drama right now. I have like 3 scenes left, and once I'm done, I'm free game to do what I want.
See, folks.
My wife says I need to stop and pause for a bit. I'm like, but my brain now thinks. It's now like I have to write more. She's like, no, you always stress out and then you're done. I'm like, but I want to write more now.
It's that creative genius in you wanting to get more and more excitement out there. And I think the great thing about that is you folks out there can check these out also, because not only is Jeremiah working on these, he also has the Fanitarium, which is almost a pop culture hub now, haven't you? You've created this great little world.
Yeah, where we have one podcast of talking about the AFI top 100 movies. We have one about Spielberg. The Fanitarium itself, we mainly focus on interviews. We have voice actors. We have authors. We recently had a fantasy author, John Cristobal, talking about his first book, which just came out. We have voice actors. We've had over 80 voice actors on there. We have Let's Talk Fandom, which we talk about things, from video games to movies and so on. We're going to talk about Endgame this weekend. We have, the Odin's Beard, our Marvel podcast. We have the DC Justice Cast. We talk about news and so on. We have all sorts of stuff, and a lot of it's on YouTube now. Like our audio dramas are on YouTube because that was easier, copyright wise. And they're Star Wars audio dramas, which we've done now for 6 years. Our episode 14 is coming out really soon, which is going to wrap it all up finally. And it's great. I'm really proud of what we were able to do, and I'm looking forward to finishing it. So, because it's been 3 seasons, and I'm looking forward to moving on to other things. But it's been a lot of fun because I grew up on the audio dramas that lots of people did. The NPR ones, but also the ones that like John Whitman, the guy who did Galaxy of Fear, did with what was it? The comics that Kevin Anderson did. And and then Crimson Empire and those, they all had audio dramas. Dark Empire had audio dramas. Crimson Empire had audio dramas. Why can I not remember the name of the comics? But the Sunrider was in it, and
Tales of the Jedi,
Tales of the Jedi, and Tales of the Sith. Those ones, they did audio dramas of those too. They're not the same as the NPR ones. They're not equal, but they are Star Wars audio dramas, and I've also interviewed John Whitman about it, and he's one. If you've ever talked to, you should talk to John Whitman, because not only did he write 13 Star Wars books, Star Wars Goosebumps essentially with Galaxy of Fear, he also did 8 or 9 Star Wars audio dramas, and he's one of the premier experts in Krav Maga.
Oh wow! There you go. These Israeli fighting arts.
That means he can break you.
Yeah. It is pretty lethal, when it comes to self-defense. That stuff is the real deal. There's no mucking around. But, yeah.
And another thing I will say, one thing I do miss in the Disney era, which Lucasfilm, LucasArts, LucasBooks, they weren't the most innovative. Well, Lucasfilm was, but like LucasArts and LucasBooks were not very innovative with what they did.
Mm-hmm.
They'd go, oh, look, Goosebumps are popular. Here, John Whitman, write 13 Goosebump books in Star Wars. Oh, look, Age of Empires is popular. Let's make Galactic Battlegrounds. Or look, Call of Duty's popular. Star Wars Battlefront. Or, everything they made was basically, or, Halo's popular, Republic Commando. Everything they made was a copy of something else. Now, a lot of the time it was great, and we had fun with it. But I miss the fact that you're like, oh, look, here's the Star Wars Goosebumps. Oh, look, this is the Glove of Darth Vader, Mission to Mount Yoda. Oh, look, this is the Star Wars Kiddie books, or Jedi Quest, or like some of those like mission books where you can like go through and it's like a mission you're trying to do, like choose your own adventure style stuff. Like they don't do that anymore. Now they just do their own thing. But I kind of miss the silliness of some of those older things.
Yeah,
I like miss sticker books.
there was something harmless about those. I mean, like I remember years ago getting the Empire Strikes Back pack. And it was literally a box for Christmas which had all the colouring in books, had puzzle books. It had the Empire Strikes Back graphic novel, which I wish I still had that original version. Now I've got that updated one that they photoshopped in more colour. And
yeah, it's not the same.
It's not the same, It's
I have the Empire Strikes Back record.
Oh, nice. The LP,
the audio record where they had on it with all the cool pictures.
Yeah, that is cool.
For some reason we didn't have Return of the Jedi, but we did have the Hujib one.
Mm-hmm.
I do remember that one, and like oddly enough, we mentioned it earlier. I had a coloring book for Young Indiana Jones when I was like 5, but I never saw an episode of Young Indiana Jones until I was at least 10 or 11 when it came out on like VHS.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we never had. And the coloring book I had was when he was like the first episode when he was a kid, and they went to that tomb in Egypt. I never saw that episode until I was an adult on DVD.
Oh wow!
Because that wasn't released on VHS in the States.
No,
the first episode on VHS in the States, I think, was like the Peacock one or something, or one of the World War One. No, Spring Break Adventure was the first one they released on VHS.
Out here in Australia, they were released never as a TV series. It was always as movies, and it was on a fortnightly on Channel 7 out here on like midday on a Saturday. So it was on what we call our Saturday matinee on TV.
Yeah.
And eventually, about a year later, we started seeing the 2-hour video releases. And there was probably about 14 videos, I think, they released out here, all on VHS. And but I tell you what, if they were at a video shop, they got stolen very quickly.
Yeah, I believe so. Like, I never knew Ian McDiarmid was in that series until I saw it on DVD. Like, when my dad finally got the whole thing on DVD, and I looked at it and went, oh, I never saw any... Like, they never had any episode on VHS that I saw, because we bought them all. Mm-hmm. There was no episode on VHS with Sean Patrick Flannery not being Indiana Jones.
Mm.
So that's, I think he started in episode 4.
That's right.
Or 5. So like all those early stuff we didn't have. Not to be fair, those weren't the best episodes at all. Trenches of War, or like the one with the Red Baron, was probably my favorite one, period, because that was awesome with like the French ace and so on. Or the Vlad the Impaler one, that was cool.
Vlad was
Or actually, one of the ones I really loved too was the Hollywood one.
Yeah.
Where he has to, like, where he works with John Ford and he tries to, like, tame some of the... That was just a lot of fun, but... Yeah, those were good old days. Days. Now, if Willow could be like that, I'll be happy. Or Mandalorian, just give us something fun.
That's right. Or give us Quinlan Voss, P.I., when he becomes a private investigator after the Clone Wars.
After Dark Disciple, when he's a broken person, sobbing... Did he survive this snap? That's
This happened to me. My goodness.
So officially in Revenge of the Sith, he didn't die, right? Like he's not one of the ones that they mentioned dying in that one.
No, because they had a scene where he was going to die because he was in one of those AT-AT tanks, but that was all deleted scenes that never got finished. And,
did he die in the book?
No, I can't remember reading whether he died in the stove.
Because the book is canon, right?
Is it canon, is the question. Because none of those books are canon.
I thought they said the novelizations are canon. As long as they don't discredit. Because like the original Star Wars one says stuff like Obi-Wan was Owen Lars' brother.
Yeah.
That's not true. But It's a good question.
Be one to
I'd
track
ask
down.
Pablo Hidalgo that.
Pablo will know. He'll know for sure. So, but folks, I want to thank Jeremiah for being on the show today. It's been great to catch up, and obviously, I'd love to do it more often if we can. It's always great to chat Star Wars, the books, and obviously the world that Lucasfilm makes. But definitely go and check out the Fanitarium. Where can the folks at home catch your website?
So there's the Fanitarium, which is fandompod at podbean.com. We also have the Fanitarium on Facebook and on Twitter. We also have a YouTube channel, which if you just look up the Fanitarium, you'll find it on YouTube. We have lots of stuff on there. Lots and lots of stuff. We have a DC show, a Marvel show. We have Let's Talk Star Wars. We have movie reviews. We have TV reviews. One of the guys on there, he has a show where he literally reviews beer. And it's all on there. All on there. Lots of stuff. And as far as DC and Marvel goes, we talk usually short form. It's about news, little stuff. Like my son right now he wants me to introduce him to every single character that's in Lego Batman 3. If you played Lego Batman 3, there's 225 characters in there.
Yeah, there's just a few.
That takes a long time to get through. So, we're going through that one. That'll be my project, of course, over the summer. And we have our audio dramas, which the final one will be done hopefully in the next week or so, because I only have 3 scenes left, and I'm really excited to show that one to the world. It's been a long time coming, and I'm excited for people to finally hear it and see how everything wraps up. I do promise it is a final thing. So I do hope you guys enjoy how it wraps up. I enjoyed writing it, and I know the cast enjoyed being in it, so I hope we do it justice.
Awesome. Thanks for being on the show today, and folks, stay tuned for there's more Fantha Down Under heading your way just after the break.
Hi, this is Jeremiah from the Fanitarium, and you're listening to Fantha Tracks Radio.
G'day, how you going? This is how you can catch me on the web. That's right, your host, Adam O'Brien, the Fantha from Down Under. You can catch it Obi Pop Culture on both Twitter and Instagram. You can also catch me on the one, the only Fandom Podcast Network's Lethal Mullet Podcast. But check out Fantha Tracks itself. Check it out at fanthatracks.com. All your Star Wars news in one single file.